All right, 10.1, we're talking about the three-dimensional coordinate system. So before we had an XY plane, we're now going to have an XYZ plane. So to draw the graph or to plot the points, so in example 1, it says plot the point 2, negative 3, 3. So 2 is our X, negative 3 is Y, and 3 is Z. So we would just start by plotting like our normal XY. So we would go 2 on the X-axis, so we go this way, 2 tick marks here, and then negative 3 on the Y, so that would be here. So we go out. Typically on XY, our point would just be right there. But then with the Z, that tells us since it's a positive 3, we would go up 3. So it's like we're going out of the paper 3. So we're going up 3 to there. So we're going like 3 on the Z. So in 3-dimension, we also can find the distance between 2 points. So we have a distance formula here. If you notice, it's the same exact thing as our distance formula in just 2 dimensions, so with X and Y, but we just add the Z to it too. So it's X2 minus X1 squared plus Y2 minus Y1 squared plus Z2 minus Z1 squared, all under the square root. So in example 2, it says find the distance between these 2 points. So it helps to label everything. I have X1, Y1, Z1, X2, Y2, Z2. So now we can plug everything into our formula. So X2 minus X1 would be 1 minus 0 squared, plus Y2 minus Y1 would be 4 minus 1 squared, plus Z2 minus Z1 would be negative 2 minus 3 squared. So it's the same thing as our regular distance formula. We just also have to include the Z in it. So here we have 1 squared plus 3 squared plus negative 5 squared. So we get the square root of 35. Can I simplify that? Nope. 2 factors of 35 would be 5 and 7. Doesn't break down anymore. Don't have any pairs. It's just the square root of 35. That would be our distance. Next, we're going to be finding the midpoint. So again, it's the same thing as our regular midpoint formula, but instead we also have to include the Z in it. So it's X1 plus X2 divided by 2, Y1 plus Y2 divided by 2, and Z1 plus Z2 divided by 2. So we're just finding the average of each. The average of the X's, average of the Y's, average of the Z's. So we can start by adding our X's, 5 plus 0 over 2. We add our Y's, so negative 2 plus 4 over 2. And then we add our Z's, 3 plus 4 over 2. So we get 5 over 2. This would be 2 over 2, which simplifies to what? 1. And then 7 over 2. So that would be our midpoint. We also have the equation of a sphere, which again is the same thing as the equation of a circle, but we just also include the Z. So it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared plus z minus j squared, bless you, is equal to r squared. So in example 4, it says find the standard equation of the sphere with center 2, 3, 4, and a radius of 3. So we can plug everything in. So I have, bless you, this would be my h, k, and j. So x minus 2 squared plus y minus 4 squared plus z minus 3 squared is equal to r squared. And what's r? 3. So r squared would be 9. So example 5 says find the center and radius of the sphere given by this equation. What do you think I need to do to put it into standard form to help me find the center and radius? But what's our overall goal? We can subtract 8, but what else will I have to do? Complete the square. So I'm going to move the constant number to the other side. I'm going to group my x's together. So I have x squared minus 2x. I'm going to leave a space to complete the square. I have y squared plus 4y. Leave a space to complete the square. Z squared minus 6z. Leave a space. And it's equal to negative 8. What's the little formula that I use to complete the square? B over 2 squared. Awesome. So what's my b for the x's? Awesome. Negative 2 over 2 squared. What's negative 2 over 2? Negative 1. And negative 1 squared? Positive 1. So what would I have to do next? Add 1 to the other side too. So we're going to add it to that negative 8. So what's going to go into my parentheses squared here? Awesome. X minus 1. Any questions on how we did that for the x? Ready for the y? So b over 2 squared, what's the b? So 4 over 2 squared, what's 4 over 2? And 2 squared? 4. So what would I have to do next? Add 4 to the other side. And what's going to go into the parentheses squared here? If we're adding 4 on this side, you also have to add it to the other side. So y plus 2. Perfect. Do you have any question?
No, I don't.
Okay. So we have negative 6 over 2 squared. So it'd be negative 3 squared. What's negative 3 squared? 9. So I'm adding 9. What else do I have to do? Add it to the other side. What's going to go in my parentheses squared now? Z minus 3 squared. Perfect. Now we can add all of these together on the right side of our equation. So that would be 6. Yeah, 6. All right, so what's our center? Perfect. We flip the signs of everything. So it'd be positive 1, negative 2, positive 3. And what's our radius? Square root 6. Awesome. So in example 6, it says find the trace of a surface. So sketch the xy trace of the sphere given by our equation here. So to find the xy trace in an xyz plane, which letter are we missing here? Z. So the one that's missing, z, we're going to plug 0 into that number. And then we just simplify our equation from there. So to find the xy trace, looking at our picture here, the xy trace is in our xy plane. It's that circle that's being traced. If we cut our sphere where it intersects with the xy plane, we're cutting it, so we're making a circle. So now it's just going to be x and y in our equation with no z. So we have to plug in 0 to z and simplify to see what we get. So everything else is going to stay the same. I have x minus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared. We don't want to touch that. But then I'm going to plug 0 into z. So 0 plus 4 squared is equal to 5 squared. So 4 squared is what? 16. And it's equal to 5 squared, which is 25. So I want to move the 16 to the other side now that it's a constant. So I'm going to subtract 16. And what's 25 minus 16? 9. So here we have x minus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 9. And this would be our xy trace. So it could ask for like the center and the radius. So what would our center be here for the circle? 3, 2. And what would our radius be? 3. in like the equation that it wrote down here, it simplified it as 3 squared, but you can just leave it as 9. I'm pretty sure WebAssign will be okay if you just leave it like this too. It probably want it this way.